Be approval of the minutes. When committee members have had a chance to review, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Item number 1 under old business is authorization to enter into a construction contract with John Platt Company for Snow Hinton Park improvement projects. The total is $10.275 million. Eric,
Sure.
welcome. Yes.
Do you want to move that to the end and deal with all this other first, or?
It's fine with me if you y'all wanna do that.
However you want.
It probably,
You might ask Ms. Johnson to do that.
We can.
do we need to revise the agenda to do that, or just, is it okay? I mean, committee members, I'm fine with it. We put it to the end. I move to, if we could move it to be item number 11.
A motion, we change the order of business
Yep.
considered and move old business till the end of the new business items.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Eric, hold on to that thought. Item number 1 now under new business would be authorization to enter into a minor public works contract with John and Kirksey for the Benjamin Barnes Library roof repair. The total is $58,985, and that does include a 15% contingency. Welcome, Tim.
Good afternoon. Yes, just as you said, this is to replace the roof on the library building beside the existing Benjamin Barnes YMCA with a 15% contingency for any unforeseen items underneath the existing roof.
Questions from committee members?
Tim, thank you for bringing this back up. I think it was on the agenda a couple of months ago.
That's correct.
Glad that it came back around. I think this would be a great, I think it's needed. I have no questions about it. Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer a motion.
I have some questions first.
Mr. Busby?
How many bids did we get on this?
5.
5,
Yes, sir.
and this was the low bid?
They were the lowest to meet qualifications. We did have one that was lower that did not have a GC license.
Okay, we'll go with the license. So then, is contingency, when they submit their bids, is contingency built into that price?
No, sir.
How does that work?
This price, the 15% contingency is added onto the bid by us. We know that there could be some unforeseen rotted items underneath the existing roof, and so we want to plan for that and build that into the budget.
So if he submit bids, you take those prices and we add 15% to it.
That's correct.
So it's the same for everybody.
That's correct.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Motion on table, Mr. Busby.
Second.
Moved second, and all in favor say aye.
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 Item number, I guess I'm gonna call it, item number 1 is approved. Item number 2 is authorization to enter into a minor public works contract with ACS for City Hall air handler unit replacement. Total is $4,567, Tim.
So this work has actually already been completed. We did this as an emergency declaration. This drive went down week before last, I believe, and we needed to replace it immediately to get the air handler back up and operating. The work has been completed, and it was to serve an air handler. It was for an air handler that serves the IT area of the building.
Questions?
Where'd the funding come from?
This funding came from the CFG facility repairs expense.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Item is approved. Item number 3 is authorization to enter into a minor public works agreement with Asphalt Resurrection. For City Hall Annex 1 garage restriping. The total is $2508.56. Tim?
So this is funded by the city's facility renewal budget, and it is to restripe and also widen the parking spaces in the lower level garage.
Motion.
Second.
Can I vote on that too?
Well, that was, you can and Kip can too. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion.
Unifying topic.
Motion gladly passes there. Everybody's happy. Item number 4, approval of professional services agreement with TTL for the Ash Street sidewalk to the Calton Park project, 154-478. Clint, welcome.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like you said, we're requesting approval to have professional services with TTL to help us construct the Ash Street sidewalk to Colton Park project. It's located in District 2. The purpose of it is to connect the proposed, or not the proposed, the coming the Benjamin Barnes YMCA to Colton Park. We're the professional engineering services include surveying, geotechnical services, preliminary design, final design, and the bid phase. One big thing is that they are also going to provide us a detailed construction cost estimate. We're going to use that construction cost estimate to help us apply for a TAP grant for this project.
That's good.
That's great.
Let's see. Looks like the timeline's about 4 months. The funding is GFRFFI. There's an account where each of the districts are receiving $500,000 to be used at their discretion. District 2, Councilor Howard
Yes.
is planning on using this for this project.
That's good.
Am I looking, is this going to be nearby the new Benjamin Barnes Y, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Do you have a clicker? I believe it's on the next
it's the
slide.
You
side,
got-
Ash is a side street to MLK, right?
Okay.
And it also will have, not only with Benjamin Barnes, but some connectivity as well with the Colton Park.
Colton Park.
And the
That's
Elm
good.
Street.
All right, so Raven's spending part of her $500,000
Yes.
saved out of the per council district
Yes, sir.
from the fire district, the fire station.
I think this is good.
How
So-
much, is this work being done by TTL? Is this bid or is this something they're doing out of a contract they're already on with us?
This is a separate agreement, a professional service agreement. We reached out to TTL to help us with this project.
Do we reach out to anybody else?
No, sir. With it being an engineering professional services, that's something that we can't bid out in the state of Alabama.
We can't bid it out based on price,
That's correct. Yes, sir.
but we can see if anybody's interested in performing the work.
Mike, do you have anything to say about that? I don't want to speak out of turn or anything.
TTL is also the design engineer for the Benjamin Barnes YMCA project. We just felt like this was the most likely candidate to provide these professional services as well.
Okay, and the 155 that's to design the sidewalk?
Well, that's all the components that Clint mentioned. It's the preliminary design, it's the survey work to, prepare the design off of, gets us all the way to the bid phase. So we'll end up with a cost estimate for what we expect this project to bid. Then we'll see if there's a TAP grant available to pay for that construction.
And then based on the sidewalk work that we typically do around here, how long is the sidewalk? Is it a mile or 500 yards or
I
3
think it's on
miles?
page.
Put me in a ballpark.
I got 3,800.
Yeah. All right, he's
3,800 feet, linear feet?
Yeah, Ash Street, these areas down here, there is not curb and gutter on some of these streets, so the
Right.
sidewalk component generally includes some curb and gutter and drainage as well.
And this would be an enhancement to the community.
And what do we think a foot of sidewalk? How do we typically envision sidewalk material and labor price? In the 1,000 foot or 100 foot?
You talking about $1 per foot?
Surely we have enough experience building sidewalks. We have some idea what sidewalks cost.
That's right.
And what is that?
I got a range based off with Brian a few months ago. I'd say it's between about $350 to $650, something in that
Per
ballpark per foot, dollar per foot.
Yeah, bear in mind that includes more than just sidewalk. That's also going to be a curb and gutter along a road that doesn't already have curbing, and that is going to require storm drainage, which is to carry the surface runoff from the street underground in a pipe network. So it's
When you walk Ash Street, I guess we can pull up the map. When you walk Ash Street, you've got some pretty, I don't know what the word, steep decline of drainage in and around the area. So as Mike talked about, it will be, if the council moves forward with the project, it'll likely be close to a 6 or 7 figure project.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So,
Now, that is one of the things that we've asked the engineering firm to do, is to break the project up into potential phases as well. So not only looking at the TAP grant, but break it up into phases. And so the first step, I know, and I don't want to speak for Ms. Howard, was let's get the engineering done, and then we can begin looking at grant processes, staging if we have to, et cetera. So that's the natural progression of it all. And
okay, so the engineering costs will come out of the district savings, right?
correct.
And then they'll provide us what we need to apply for the TAP grant.
That's correct.
And then from there, we'll identify the rough order of magnitude we're dealing with.
Or
and where
go
it's coming
after,
from.
or do the project, go after a TAP grant or with city funds. I don't want to speak for Ms. Howard, but I think looking at all options.
No, I understand a TAP grant's not a given, but I mean, there'll be a pause where we know what we're dealing with big picture and whether that has exceeded the district savings fund available and going into city funds, and if so, where it's coming from.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item is approved. Item number 5 is approval of a professional services agreement with TTL for the Kicker Road Sidewalk Project. The total is $110,850. You're staying, Clint?
Staying for this one,
All right.
yes, sir.
Same situation though, just different
Right.
place.
That's right. Same situation, different place. This is for Kicker
Kicker
Road.
Road.
And is
sidewalk.
Mr. Tyner paying for this out of his district funds?
Christmas,
Yes,
it's
sir.
Christmas tree time. What is that called? Ken?
No, that's not my Christmas tree.
Okay.
That's a different one. I've got several.
Exactly, you do.
Hey,
Yeah.
what I decided to do, it's been really great, Kicker Road has no sidewalks. Years ago, it was between 25th Avenue East, the old Peck Mill Road, and Kicker Road. And we went with 25th Avenue East, which was completed just about a month before the tornado hit. So this would be, it's so expensive, but this would just be one side. We're looking at sidewalks on just one side. That's the J.C. Park side. Because they can walk to the park and then eventually can walk to the school.
A lot of people walk up and down through there.
They sure do.
And
And
it's
so,
pretty skinny too.
this is basically from J.C. Park to Piney Grove Baptist Church, which is about at the bridge. So this is engineering only. And what I've asked is to continue just to keep that other 390, because this is obviously gonna be very expensive, because of the rights of way and the trees but, so I'm looking at putting that, just doing it in probably, this would be the first phase. If we go any further with it, it'd have to be done in phases, but keep the 390 toward the sidewalk project, and then hopefully the next 500,000 next year toward this same project. So we had looked at one on 30th, doing sidewalk on 30th, and as I told the engineers, I said, I just wanted to stay in one area so we can maximize the money. So I don't know, that would be about another 900,000 for the project, might need a little more, I mean, down the road, but I'm not sure. That's what we'll find out, but.
And
What about your east end of the University Boulevard? You're getting $10 million of state money, right?
Well, it's MPO, it's federal, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to apply to this
You
project.
can't stretch that down.
I wish.
You wouldn't want to, because
No.
between the property the environmental reviews, the property acquisition cost, we're probably talking about very tight right of ways here in this project, so it might be 2028 before we got started on a project like this.
Yeah, that's why we're just doing it. I forget what the length of that is. Mike and I went out there along with Brian a
I'm
couple
getting
months back, and it was about what would you say?
1,500 linear feet. I'm getting about 1,500 linear feet.
Which is.
Like, what do you mean?
So is that, how long is that, how many blocks would that be, you think?
Quarter of a mile.
So, yeah, okay, that's what we're.
Oh, okay,
quarter mile.
I gotcha.
And that's a strategic spot because it comes to end of J.C. Park to the entrance to a neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
So
It goes by two churches.
They're by that church,
Two,
isn't it?
yeah.
Ain't it by the church?
now,
And there's a
the other side of Kicker Road would have been probably less expensive because you don't have the big trees and all, but it didn't make sense to do it on that side of the road.
It's across Kickory. Right.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
because for one thing, there would have been there were a lot more houses on that other side of the road than there are on this side. And plus, it just makes it more natural to be on the same side as the park.
As the park. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep, that pretty much covers everything. That's right.
Any other questions?
Front area of Grant's mother's house.
That's another story.
I vote yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
There's a surprise. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 5 is approved. Item number 6 is approval of professional services agreement with Gresham Smith for the University Boulevard at Brook Hills intersection project. The total is $249,654. Clint, you're still here.
I'm still here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're requesting approval for professional services with Gresham Smith. So this is in District 5 as well. It's located at the intersection of University Boulevard, Brook Hills Drive, and 39th Avenue East. There's been a lot of concerns and complaints about sight distance issues, signal issues, confusion of flow of traffic, heavy traffic during peak hours, and some crashes. So we had Gresham Smith last year to conduct a traffic study in this area. They gave us some alternative designs, and so we chose one, and so we're asking them to help us with this project. The professional services, again, include the surveying, geotech, preliminary and final design, and so they'll also provide us with a cost estimate, which we could potentially, we'll use that to help apply for safety grants funds if we want to go in that direction.
And where's this money coming from?
GFRFFI, account number 203-09030-22018, and the budget's at $250.
You get that.
It was in my capital projects recommendation.
Okay.
Sorry.
And this
I don't
is
know.
something that I really appreciate the mayor, and we've worked this probably about over a year. This, to give you an idea, where the road splits almost by Brandy's house, by Hillsdale's on one side, Druid Hills is on the other side, you know where that road forks, and it goes, one goes toward Birmingham, one goes toward the VA hospital.
Yes.
That is the most malfunctioned intersection. If anybody knows, I see you shaking your head, you know it's, and plus they did a study that showed how many wrecks were there, large number of wrecks and crashes. A lot of running red lights. And then right down from Hillsdale, there's the other half of Hillsdale comes out on University Boulevard where that crater, we call it the crater,
Oh, what that is.
and with no guardrails, and you're looking at this to be a turning lane, because right now there's no light, no nothing to help get probably 150 homes safely out on University Boulevard. I appreciate this is one of the projects I meet with engineers every 3 weeks, and this is one of the projects that we've worked on for quite some time, and the mayor's very versed on it, and has helped greatly.
This is gold
How about
plated. Is this
yes?
gold plated too? or
It is gold
It
plated.
is gold plated, that's what I figured.
Yeah, including the golden arches down there.
Exactly.
Well, since I just bought a house in Druid Hills, I motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion. Second, all in favor say aye.
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 My newest constituents, Mr. Busby's son.
Item number 7 is approval of a minor public works contract with Rick's Service Company for lift station number 40, generator repairs, $10,750. Kimberly, welcome.
Hello, how are y'all today?
Good.
Wonderful.
Good. This contract is to repair the controls at the generator at Lift Station 40. This is with Rick Service Company, who typically handles our generator maintenance. And this is for $10,750, and it's out of Fletcher's outside services account.
Questions?
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item is approved. Item number 8 is approval of a minor public works contract with Mobile Communication America for an antenna replacement on the VA water tank. Total of $7,849.99. Kimberly?
This again is a similar type contract. It's for a repair of the antenna that is on the VA water tank that helps with our communications for SCADA, which is the communications that we use for water and wastewater throughout the city. And this is in the amount of $7,849.99, and it is also out of Fletcher's operating budget.
Questions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Item number 9 is approval to award bid for the 2023 fiber optic network expansion with Premier Service Company, total not to exceed $800,000. Jason, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, this is primarily funded from the GF RFFI from earlier this year. This also includes projects to connect Fire Station 11, Colton Park. Jump off the list. Some work at Bowers Park, Northridge Middle School, and the Benjamin Barnes YMCA. So this is all of our projects for this year. This was bid
Questions?
and Premier was the bidder.
Are y'all pulling fiber optics, or is Premier doing all that?
This is just for boring. This is just to put the conduit underground, to put the boxes. We will come back and do the work to pull the fiber through the boxes and then do all the splicing and everything. We do that in-house. So.
Jason, we put out an RFP on this.
Yes, sir.
How many bidders do we have?
Premier was the only bidder.
The only bidder.
This is we did this as a per unit bid. So this is they gave us price
Per unit being per foot?
Per foot, yes, sir. For various sizes, and while there's greater interest at the bid meeting, we got the feeling that a lot of the construction companies that came wanted a one and done, while this is a little bit more of an extended partnership, if you will.
Ms. Sheaf, the big chunk coming out of here, the $500,000 plus, what is that account?
That's in the general fund RFFI. It was part of the mayor's capital recommendation.
So this was part of the capital projects budget recommendation and approval?
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 9 is approved. Item number
All right.
10, approval of extended service plan agreement with Priority Dispatch. Total is $20,300 annually for a 5-year term. Chief?
Good afternoon, council.
Hey,
Thank
Chief.
y'all.
Afternoon.
This is an extended warranty with Priority Dispatch for the warranty on the medical Priority Dispatch and the fire dispatch systems that we utilize at Fire Communications and the 911 center. And it's coming out of Jason's operation or maintenance budget.
Questions?
So moved.
So it's 20 grand annually for 5 years,
Yes, sir.
so 100 grand as the extended warranty?
Yes, sir. It provides updates, the annual updates to us, and periodic updates on some of the protocols. It allows us to maintain the national standards and international standards for medical and fire dispatch.
And what is it we buy from Priority Dispatch Corporation? Is it the equipment, or the operating software?
Software.
How much is software?
I can't tell you off the top of my head. 911 has taken over a lot of that purchase, but we still, since we have five terminals within our pod, we have to pay for our portion of it.
Jason, do you know?
What the initial price was?
Yeah, and I'm asking because of the discussion we had some weeks ago is we're increasingly finding ourselves faced with operating software that's affordable, and then all the bells and whistles that have to be bought after it and keep being bought are the obnoxious portions.
Understood. Unfortunately, pretty much all software that you will purchase has an ongoing kind of forever cost for support updates. And that's everything from security patches to being able to call them and say, hey, this thing doesn't work. And they, walk you through this. This is not a new cost, by the way. This is just a updating of an existing contract.
Okay,
So this, it's not a new, these are not new dollars.
okay. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Move second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item is approved. Now we go back to, under old business, item number 1, which is authorization to enter into construction contract with John Plott Company for the Snow End Park Improvements Project. The total is $10,274,766.64.
I vote yes.
Aaron, welcome back.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you, Counselor. So would you like for me to go through the entire,
You could kind of, let me know what you guys are kind of recommending to move forward to finance, if you can.
well, I mean, I guess I'd like to hear what the feedback is. You know, the park is, you know, one of the most visible ones in our city. You know, I won't go back and rehash everything that Steve, who's also with us from Barge, but to go back to the design, I mean, I can go through the alternates if you'd like. I can go through, you know, the base bid came in at $9.5 million, and then there were alternates after that. If you'd like for me to go through some of those, I'm more than happy to.
I think that would be,
Okay.
that would be good. Then I just kind of want to hear from committee members and council members on what we kind of,
So-
what we're thinking.
So one of the, I guess, questions that came up early on was concerning the pavers. We've seen what the stamped concrete looks like. Very much in favor of the stamped concrete, just from a maintenance issue. But just the look and feel of it, I think, is, you know, amazing also. So alternate 1 is, at the top left of the screen, is the South Gateway. And so as you're looking at this, this is McFarland Boulevard on the top of the screen. And so the alternate 1 would be to dress up the gateway, and I'll show you what one of the renderings looks like. So this is what you'd be looking at. This is, I believe, the South Gateway here, or what's being proposed. Now, alternate 2 and 3 were brick pavers. As you can see, 3 are brick pavers around the South Gateway, and then number 2 is brick pavers at certain places around the ellipse. Alternate 4 was the maintenance building, which is primarily what CFG would be using to store mowers in. You know, while that alternate, you know, is great, I don't necessarily know that that's something that our guys are going to, you know, need moving forward. We're going to have to show up, you know, at TDOT and then go out to the site anyway. There's nothing stopping us from taking the mowers and things out there.
So
And that was, I'm sorry.
No, just 1 second, John. You go back and say, when it comes to the pavers, say again what you.
So the pavers altogether, all 3 alternates, you've got 2, 3, and 5. Number 6, I believe, are all the pavers instead of, in lieu of the stamped concrete, which is part of the base bid. Right there, you can save, there's some savings right there of about $100,000.
So you guys are okay with the,
Absolutely.
as it's proposed, not with an
I
alternate?
believe legal's also in
Is
favor
that
of
kind of
that.
how we, so that would save how much?
About $100,000.
Okay.
And the maintenance shed would save what?
$429,000.
That's good. So we don't want, doesn't sound like alternative 4, or I want to hear what the group says, what the council does, but I mean, if we take alternative 4 out and you take 2, 3, and 6 out, right? That saves how much? $500,000?
A little over.
Okay.
You know, it'd be helpful if these alternates had dollar figures beside them. Do we have that?
I can give you the dollar figures if you'd like.
I would love them.
I would like.
So the Southwest Gateway, which is the one on the top left, which is the corner of McFarland and Hargrove,
That's alternate 3.
that's alternate 1. That one is $114,022.76.
Say that again, 114.
$114,022.76.
140,000.
Alternate 2 for the pavers is, or came in at $89,718.75. Alternate 3 for the pavers at the Southwest Gateway $4,338.40.
How much?
$4,338.40. Then alternate 4, which is the maintenance building, came in at $429,356.26. So again, $439,356.26. Alternate 5, which is the Northwest Gateway, and that's going to be the one directly adjacent to where the new Chick-fil-A's being built. That one is $115,633.41. So $115,633.41. And then the final Northwest Gateway pavers, $4,338.40.
Say again, please.
$4,338.40.
Eric, we talked about that fence.
Yes, sir. So there's also a fence that's being proposed. It's hard to see here, but it's essentially between the parking area and the park. And then here again, it's the parking area of the park. That fence came in, I believe, $124,000.
Is it mostly for looks?
Yes, sir. To create separation from the parking area in the park, but I mean, there's some other things that we could look at doing.
Questions from committee members? Also, President Tyner, please.
I have a question. I think where we left it last time was this bid has to be acted on currently by when? 17th of
Yes, sir.
October?
Correct.
And where we left it last time was go back and ask them if they will give us another extension. Is that correct?
It is, and
It
we
is.
haven't got we haven't gotten an answer yet. Contractor.
I think that's a key part of the consideration. So prior to this extension, when did that bid, was it set to expire?
45 days was. Might have been have to go through this week. I don't know what the exact date. It was 45 days from the bid opening.
But I mean, we're currently in a 2-week extension. right?
Correct.
And that gets us to the 17th.
Correct.
So 2 weeks off of the 17th would be October the 3rd.
Around there. I don't know if that was the exact date, just because of the 45 days don't necessarily line up exactly with where the council meetings and committee meetings are.
Okay.
But
When
I think
we, from where does the contract, where does the contract come out of? Is it your department? Is it Elevate? Who writes, posts, and awards the proposals, soliciting the proposals?
So, Tom, would you like to speak to that?
Be Sarah in our office.
Who is it, Tom? I can't see you.
Sarah in our office.
It comes out of legal?
Yes.
So, and there's two contracts, right? We obviously contracted with Barge to do the design, and then we're now considering awarding a bid for the build portion of the contract, right?
Correct, the construction.
When we go out and get a design firm like Barge, is there crafted into the contract a price range to bring the work in at? I mean, do we tell them, draw us up a park that can be built for under 10 million or under 20 or under 5? Is that language in our agreement with the design firm?
I would need to get with Sarah to ask her that question. Because she does our contracts for us. Sarah knows she does our contracts for her, and I'd have to ask her that question specifically. But I can get the answer for you.
So is there a recommending, a unified recommending authority within the different departments that have collaborated in this to give us a recommendation?
So we've met to identify what the
I mean,
value is.
Elevate's involved,
CFG's involved.
CFG's
legal's
involved,
A&F is involved.
A&F, well, paying the bills, yeah.
Correct. So we've looked at it, we've identified some of the, places where money can be saved, and we can recommend some to you. Do we have any today? I'm more than happy to go through the ones that we've identified. Just, if you can let me know exactly what you would like.
The recommendation is to move forward with the entire scope of the project.
At the 10.2, was it?
And if you'll go back, to the slides, the public process of this began about 3 years ago. And the designs, the amenities, everything that you see was part of a full master plan process. The council was updated periodically throughout the process. We've been before this committee several times. The design, the bids, you've been emailed, and shared information. So when we go out to bids, you certainly don't know what the bid price is going to be to bid day. But the budget for this project actually began in April of 2019.
At $5 million, right?
At $5 million. By the time we went to bids, that budget number was grossly out of line with the reality of the construction situation, which is why at the time we appropriated another, I believe, $4 million to the project, but about $1.3 million of that went towards the cost share with the university.
Right.
As if,
The road.
yeah, we certainly would have wanted a lower bid price and probably expected a lower bid price, but we had one bidder. And what we've seen on the horizontal infrastructure projects is we're not seeing that cost savings that we saw with Fire Station 11 and with Benjamin Barnes. So that kind of progresses the project. The reason why we believe we should go forward with the amenities is that moving forward, we don't know if we'll ever see prices at this level again. I think with especially with what's going on in the world today, that is, we continue to engage about park improvements. This may be the best pricing we get. We have, to the finance committee, we have recommendations that we think will safely be able to make the project a reality. That would be our recommendation, but certainly we are going to defer to how the council wants to proceed. Weigh heavily to you, Mr. Fell, and you, Mr. Tyner. I know this is kind of going back and forth between which council district. I do think, though, Mr. Busby, is that because I understand and greatly respect your position, this will not be the last projects that came out of the initial Elevate recommendations in 2019 that are not going to be within the budget that we thought of before COVID and before the great inflation. We will have to continue to adjust and recalibrate as we've been doing, and that's the reality that we're in.
The two amenities that I'm for changing, you can call the warehouse maintenance shed an amenity. I think we can live with that. That's almost $500,000. And I understand that the pavers are an extra maintenance issue. Is that correct?
They are.
So what did you call the other one would replace it?
Stamped concrete.
Yeah.
Leave what's in there, not the alternative.
Stamped concrete would save us.
From a maintenance standpoint, we would rather see the stamped concrete.
Right. And I'm easily for both of those. We're not gonna save $5 million with that, but it would be toward $1 million by the time we get all that
Mr.
done.
Fail, to your point, can I ask this based on y'all's discussion and based on, I've just written down a couple things. If we accepted the alternative number one, which is the Southern Gateway.
Correct.
We did not accept number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6, but we accepted number 5, which is the Northwest Gateway. So we would accept number 1, number 1 and number 5.
So
That would save, I mean, if you knocked out those other 4, that would save about $528,000-ish based on this conversation. But my question is, are we happy with only accepting the gateways as alternatives and the others we kind of don't do? Or are we happy as a committee and as a council? That John just basically said what we wouldn't do. We'd leave, we're not putting the pavers in, so we don't put those alternatives in, right? I mean, and the shed, but everything else we are.
So we would need to accept, and Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong, but we would need to accept all of them, then we can go back and change order out the ones that we did not want.
Okay, so that's fine. So if we accept, I'm trying to move us toward voting on the committee today. So if we have to accept all the alternatives because that's the way it's presented to us. Correct? That's the.
They can't.
That's the recommendation,
Or can we?
You can pick and choose which ones you'd like, if that's how you wanna vote.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Miller is here for our
Yeah,
office.
please. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Sarah Miller.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello, sir.
So,
Well,
when there's alternates, you can accept none of the alternates, or you can accept them in order. So you have to accept alternate 1, and then if you want to do 2, you do 2, but you can't pick them out of order. That's the way our documents are written.
so we would pick one if we wanted it and
Right.
vote, and then we'd say no on the next one. Just we'd have to go down that way and just say no.
You have to
No.
say no to the rest of them or accept the next one in order. So in other words, you can
Okay.
do base bid 1 and 2, or you can do base bid 1 or none, and you have to go through 1 through 5. You can't skip out of order and pick 3 and not 2.
That's too much fun.
We don't need to make it more complicated.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
as I am listening, even though this project is not in my district, listening to the numbers that have been presented, the 5 million plus the 4 million that the mayor talked about, and the 1.4 million that the UA would give us.
1.3.
1.3.
We did
So
5
that's-
plus 4 minus
Minus.
1.3.
Yeah.
But we gave 1.3 to give it. So
We've
that
already
took
done
us
that.
down to 7.7. We're at 10.2 on the table. Is that
With
right?
everything.
With everything.
Yeah, with everything.
And so if, let's just say hypothetically, we came back and said we wanted to do this project 3 years from now, what risk would we take to get these same prices? And I don't think we'll
I
find them.
think we'd be foolish to think about that, honestly. I don't think we'd ever get these prices.
May I ask a technical question, Sarah, or Ms. Miller?
I didn't mean that was a bad question. I didn't, by no means. That's-
No.
Understanding that state law with the structure of the alternatives kind of boxes you in a little bit. Can you do a change order that could help you achieve the alternates as long as it's less than 10% of the total cost of the project moving forward?
Right, so change orders, there's not a percentage limit that's required by law. There's not like a cap or anything. The deal with change orders is you can't substantially change the scope of the project by change order unless it's something that was not, that came up unexpectedly, like something like soil conditions or some major thing. You can value engineer. I know we've talked about, y'all have talked about that concept before. And anything that's in the alternates, I don't think is going to be something that majorly changes the base bid scope. So that is something that you could play around with a little bit with the change orders.
And I don't know if this question is for you or for Tom, but did we go back to the contractor and ask for an additional extension on the bid award?
That is something that the project manager usually does, not in my office. I just direct them on the legality of things.
So it was brought up with the contractor, they're not really in favor of trying to extend it out anymore.
Is not really in favor, no?
They didn't give me a hard no, but they're looking to, I mean, they need to figure out where they're gonna have their men next. And
The
instead
idea,
of
when
having
was
this thing
when is
called
the
in
start date?
as soon as possible.
By
As soon as possible.
the end of this month, 1st of November.
I think that's reasonable.
Where is the committee on I'm kind of following John's lead, I'm wanting to hear from Kip too, but where are we on, I mean, if we have to accept, understand legally we'll have to draft that motion the right way. But I would like for us, if we're gonna work on passing this potentially or voting on it, to have a good understanding of what we do and we don't want before we do that. As a group.
What I want is more time to do this in a more orderly manner, so that at 3 minutes past the time the committee is supposed to end, we're not trying to put together this Rubik's Cube by committee of these alternates. And Mr. Wilson, I'm just airing I am likely, if we have to do this like this, I am likely a no today. If we can get this arranged in a more orderly fashion and more coherent, I'm not necessarily a no on it.
Again, the council was notified of this. About 17 or 18 days ago, we notified you of where we were and our plan to map out the process. At no time did we ever receive, or did I receive, any correspondence from the city council that wasn't the appropriate schedule that you wanted to provide. And we want to provide you every bit of information that you desire, because we want you at the end of the day to have 100% confidence in the project. But we've notified you and heard no objection to the schedule that was proposed. So I don't want any council members to leave here thinking that our team has done anything that we haven't done with other projects. So we put forth the schedule, did not hear any objections. We felt, even to this meeting, we have provided all the information in the past week that's been asked of us. So we want to provide you everything that you need to have comfort in what is being shared.
If I may, I spent some time.
That's why I'm trying to get a vote.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to work through the process right now to get a vote.
I spent time yesterday afternoon with Eric and Dakota, and we went over a number of things you could take out. But I want this to be a great part for our city. Kip's nodding his head, and we've already come to, with the pavers and that, I know in the scope of the, well, we're close to 10% by taking some of this stuff out that we talked about. And then there'll be some, hopefully, value engineering done.
Correct.
Which is not in these numbers, Mr. Fail.
Not in these numbers at all. No, it's not.
Which I think is important.
And I looked at it, and at one point I was saying, let's take this out and that out. And the more I thought about it, I want this to be a part for these folks to enjoy, these students over here to enjoy, their children to enjoy, something that we can all be proud of in another generation. We talk about doing something to keep people in Tuscaloosa. I don't know that this will keep people in Tuscaloosa, but it'll be a great place for you guys to take your grandchildren if you stay in this town. So that's just the way I feel about it. I'm not on this committee.
Kip, do you have
I agree
any
100%.
thoughts?
This has been going on 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd vote for it all right this minute, moving forward, but I'm not on this committee.
So on the timeline thing, and if I've got it wrong, I want to get it cleared up. But today's the 10th. It first showed up on committee on the 3rd. By that time, according to what you told us, it was already in a 2-week extension.
It was very close. So it was right before the 2-week extension.
Whatever. And I appreciate the fact that we got an email. But I still consider this forum the main forum for presentation and discussion and debate. And I would have preferred, since we knew this on August 24th, I would have preferred that we have a preliminary to get these things out and just see how everybody is absorbing them. That was my objection with the timeline.
You know, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
when I think of our parks and I see how our city has began to upgrade, update our parks, we've done so with the mindset that we help all of our citizens. As you alluded to, talking about our children and our children's children, all of us have different things within our district and different parks within our district that we want to see upgraded and updated. And I believe that every park that's in our city belongs to each and every last one of us in some form or fashion. I wasn't on the council 10 years ago, but I do believe that this is a rich investment that we need to do for our future.
Well, it is a park that is a gateway to the city. I mean, this is a park that I think people across the city use.
It's our central park.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Literally.
all right.
Well, it
so-
sounds like you got it.
Well, let me ask a question. How, this is the legal question. How are because it has been recommended to us that we accept this bid with all alternatives. I understand by listening to everybody at this table, there's 2 or 3 things that we probably want to take out of that. So how does that get, how do we do that? Do we do that in the funding end of it? Do we, I mean, if this passes the committee today, and let's just say what I said is what people want. We're gonna pass it with all the alternatives, then the other part is, how are we gonna determine that? Are you gonna, I mean,
Can I interject a comment there?
yeah,
Because if it passes here, if the full enchilada passes and it comes to finance is not gonna quibble with that. We're just gonna decide where to get the money. So I don't envision finance as taking a whittling knife to it after, from a project standpoint, it's passed and go, well, I see the finance role simply as, all right, are we taking the money from here, here, there?
Well, if I could add to, I think it's a very good question, and Ms. Miller, to what Mr. Crowe has said and Mr. Busby. Understanding that there are some amenities that we would like to put to the side for cost savings. I want to make certain that we would not put the city in legal jeopardy if this were a route, Mr. Crowe, that I think you're going, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that we accept the base bid and then have CFG work with the contractor on the amenities that the city desires and work closely with Mr. Fell and Mr. Dreyer on that, and then come back to the council for those particular amenities that would be added to the base bid. Is that a legally accepted process the city could do with one bidder on the project?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand the question. So we would accept the base bid, but not any of the alternates, and then we would just add to the project
Correct.
later.
Correct. Now that's, again, I know that's, the pricing may change out of the alternates, and that's, but I've got a feeling that if we, that may be acceptable to all parties, and we then move in that direction.
Who's gonna decide?
I would, well, I think in the
That's
end, I think you're.
Probably staff recommendations
Yeah.
to project.
Yeah, you would, because each change order would require coming back to the city
to
council.
this committee, right?
And
Well, is that gonna change the way we finance it?
what I would recommend is that we look at financing what we think the totality of the project is initially, but know it's gonna come back in less.
Okay.
So I think the financing recommendations that we currently have are, cover the totality, right?
Correct. And if you will recall from last week, we anticipated value engineering some of this down. But we can't, we've been very hesitant to provide you that budget number
Because you can't guarantee it.
because we can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
So with what Ms. Miller shared, this might be an appropriate pathway, because what I would recommend is that the staff certainly would be working with the contractor, but we wouldn't bring anything forward until Mr. Feld and Mr. Tyner, who've been working on this for a long time, felt very comfortable with those recommendations. I don't know if is that, I know we're putting you on the spot, would that be an acceptable path to the city attorney's office?
It's possible to do it that way. My recommendation would be, if we thought we were gonna be doing most of the alternates, is to go ahead and award it with the alternates, and then work with the engineer, see where we can value engineer, see where there are maybe life cycle costs to some of the fixtures and things like that, ways to reduce the cost overall, and then perhaps work out some of the components of the alternates. Might be a cleaner way to do it, but I understand what your idea is, and it's possible. It's just not as clean.
It appeared to me in this discussion that we wanted to accept 2 of the alternatives of the 6.
Okay.
So if I can't do that, I mean, what's the best way?
Right.
Going back to what the mayor just said,
There's
what is the best way to do that?
Yes, sir. The risk to not accepting the alternates is that when you go back and try to add in things, that the cost is going to be different.
It's not could, but it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going down.
I know that after the war happened and broke out in Ukraine, that's when all of our costs and the supply chain went
Bananas.
crazy. And considering what's going on right now, I think we'd be running a risk that kind of thing may happen in the market.
If we accept as presented all of the alternatives, then if we decide not to take 4 of them, we just don't take them, and that reduces the contract, correct?
So
Or how does that work?
when we award it with all the alternates, that the contract is going to be for that highest number amount, and then the change orders of things that we don't do would be deductive change orders.
Say we delete 4 of them.
Yes, sir.
Change it.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And then I mean, to me, that's the way we ought to do it.
It sounds like the simplest way.
And then as a group, we decide, is that,
Yeah.
are we all comfortable with taking the 4 out of, I mean, we don't want them.
So those would just be deductive change orders.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I mean,
That sounds like the
it's just-
simplest
I
way
think
to
that's
do
the
it.
way to do it. Do you feel more comfortable based on that?
I think that is a much simpler, more orderly way to handle.
And the value engineering's not in it, but we know there should be some savings in that too.
Right.
I mean, I feel comfortable voting that way. Matthew and Mr. Busby, what do you think?
Well, this is a go out of committee. I don't know if it's a go with my vote, but it's a go, so.
It can be. So moved. It can be. Second, any other discussion? We are accepting the bid with all the alternatives. With the understanding, this may not be in the motion, I want to have another discussion about the agreement of what we're doing, because again, I think that's kind of where everybody is. Mr. Tyner?
Yes, sir.
You got that?
I got it.
All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Our next Public Projects Committee meeting will be next Tuesday, October the 17th. I would also like to extend a welcome to our UA journalism class students. Again, we appreciate y'all being here, watching your government at work, hopefully sometimes efficient.
Hey, and
Kinda like Halloween.
respectful.
It was all
We didn't
fine.
slap anybody, did we?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
People were sitting in all the chairs, we couldn't throw them second.
Seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.